we find out that Terry McLaurin and the Washington Commanders have agreed to a contract extension, 3 years, up to, my favorite little insider phrase, up to $96 million is the extension worth. Ray, my first reaction to this was finally. I had a lot of other thoughts. We will get into that, but what was your takeaway when you saw this news hit the line this morning?
Like, I'm with you, Matt. Like, about damn time, right? We knew it needed to happen. Everybody was confident, right, that this would happen, but, he wasn't out there. And you just get closer and closer to the season, and you're like, man, I want to feel confident about McLaurin. We're just mere days away, but he's not in the building, but he's there. Yeah, Matt, I think a lot of people are finally just like, it's done. We're relieved. We can move forward. Happy for Terry McLaurin to have gotten paid and to feel valued. And now you really start to look at this offense and you start putting the pieces together. Now Debo's back in his Debo role. We got all the news with the young running back. Eckler's going to assume his role. Like, you just feel better about the thing that you should have felt good with all the time. But finally, it's done, and we can move forward with McLaurin as a part of this offense officially.
Yeah, no question. And look, for me, McLaurin, my ranking of him never really reflected any worry that he was going to miss games, because to me, like, nobody misses games for holdouts. Okay. It just, as a part of the CBA, it is too difficult to do that. You are sacrificing too much money to miss games. He was never going to sit out games. I have him ranked at 41st overall, so I think he's like a 4th round pick, maybe late 3rd. I think the 3rd round stinks. Throughout the course of our August discussion, I really have not been able to find like a 3rd round pick that I actually like at the running back or wide receiver position, like somebody I'm really wanting there, which is to me why, speaking of Terry McLaurin, I've actually just gravitated to like Jaden Daniels a lot in the 3rd round. That's why he's my favorite pick in the 3rd round. If I'm early 3rd, I'm loving just going ahead and taking Jaden Daniels there when I can get him. And definitely having his number 1 wide receiver back there matters a lot. As you mentioned, McLaurin present here slots Debo back into a comfortable role. They need him from a vertical standpoint. I mean, Ray, the Jaden Daniels to Terry McLaurin connection last year was one of the best in football because their strengths so overlap. Terry McLaurin's like a downfield man coverage receiver as a perimeter guy, and Jaden Daniels loves to pin the ball accurately with great timing and precision on those deep outside the numbers targets. So, like, he needed to be a part of this offense for it to reach its projected ceiling.
Yeah, and I was watching the show while y'all were in Vegas. I think we've got him projected for the 2nd most receiving touchdowns in the NFL, like Terry McLaurin. So, yes, his ability to do some of the things that Jaden Daniels does so well, as you see right here, you feel better about this. Jaden Daniels, more importantly, in year 2 of this Kingsbury offense with his guy, right? He's got his guy back in the building. And anytime they interviewed Jaden Daniels or any of the other Commanders, it was always assumed. I think JD5 just said it. Like, yeah, we expect to have our guy out there. Like, Terry's going to be out there. We're not worried about it. So all of this is done. This is a player that you could just draft with confidence now in a range that was already kind of yucky. So it's done. We can move forward. There he is. There goes some of McLaurin stuff right there. I mean, this is, let's go. And I am just glad this got done, not the week of the first game. We got some time to get him in the building, right?
Yeah, we need that time, because this is what I was going to ask you. And the reason I wanted to cover these 3 news items in particular is because they kind of give us a people's panic meter vibe, right? I think each of these 3 news items we're going to talk about today has a little bit of like, should we be worried about this? And that's what I kind of wanted to ask you is, like, you said it's just wheels up for McLaurin, but do you have any hesitation with a guy who signed his deal on August 25th, has not practiced with the team? Because I really I was talking about this today. I realized that McLaurin probably gave up something in the negotiation here. I'm noticing that we did not see any of that guaranteed money reported right away, right? Like, I'm sure he gave up something that he wanted. I'm sure the team gave up something that they wanted. That's how negotiations work. That being said, I don't love this tactic of like, this is probably close in the neighborhood of the deal that McLaurin wanted all along. Like, why did we wait till August 25th? And we just saw this last year with 2 wide receivers in Brandon Ayuk and CeeDee Lamb. And Brandon Ayuk obviously got off to a slow start despite having the same play caller and the same quarterback that he had the year before. And CeeDee Lamb, I know people might not think like, oh, did he get off to a slow start? He actually was only targeted on 22.6% of his routes in weeks 1 to 5 and averaged 75.6 yards per game. Two numbers that were much lower than what we'd normally expect from a guy like CeeDee Lamb, despite, again, multiple years with the same quarterback and the same play caller. So McLaurin has the same quarterback, same play caller, but do you have any hesitation on thinking that McLaurin might get off to like a slow start here, considering he has missed so much time this offseason?
I guess there's a little concern, like, and I mean a little, and a lot of that is a byproduct of look who's behind him. Noah Brown, I still don't know what was going on and what was happening. Jalen Lane is a rookie 3rd-round pick out of VTech. KJ Osborne, Luke McCaffrey, and Chris Moore. Regardless if McLaurin is physically up to the task, who else are they going to put out there? He's going to be on the field with one of the quarterbacks we think is going to be one of the best QBs in the NFL. And despite the fact that he missed some of the training camp, like, he's got enough time. I guess the panic and the real worry, not much. There's nobody else behind him. He could still play. He wasn't dealing with a real injury. He just wasn't participating with the team. Very little concern for McLaurin.
Yeah, and he is a different type of wide receiver, and also Jaden Daniels is a different type of quarterback than Brock Purdy and Dak Prescott, who play with a little bit more timing and rhythm. That's actually not a critique of Daniels. It's just a stylistic thing. So maybe it's not quite the same. Like, I don't want to just paint with a broad brush here. It's one of those things that maybe, again, if he gets off to maybe a slight slow start, big deal. I don't think he's going to bag you for where he's going in drafts. Let's go to the next news item here. Jakobi Meyers request a trade from the Las Vegas Raiders, Ray. I gotta say one thing before I throw it to you. Let me just say, he requested a trade. Okay, he requested. I request a lot of things that don't happen in my life, Ray. I was stunned to see how, like, we got to give a boost to Dante Thornton. We got to give a boost to this, that, and the other. Is Jack Bech going to play in the slot now? It's like he requested a trade, just like Terry McLaurin requested a trade. The year before, Brandon like requested. This is just how it goes, bro. So, like, the honest reaction is like, there's nothing to say here, but because, again, as we're showing on the screen here on YouTube, Raiders have no intention of trading him, even though he wants this new contract. So where do you stand on the Jakobi Meyers stuff? Like, where are we going from here?
Harmon, you are bringing the fire today, man. You got me fired up, because the first thing that I wanted to go do was go rush and say this is, but I think after the initial shock of, okay, he requested the trade, something's going on, right? I just reached out to one of the beat reporters that covers the Raiders. I just reached out and said, like, is this about the money in your opinion, or is this about a role? And the response that I got back was, I think this has to, if I was speculating, it has to do with the role. Like, there's been consistent drumbeat for other players, this offense, but that,
interesting.
Again, that was my first thought is this a money? This was just me before. Is this a money thing, or is this the role? Like, this is a different offense. We keep talking about the Jakobi Meyers role, but year 2 Brock Bowers, like, that's the wide receiver 1. They go out and draft Ashton Jeanty. They're going to give him 300 plus touches. Like, this is not the same. It's just Jakobi Meyers and a rookie tight end. You got Chip Kelly, who historically wants to push the ball downfield, and the consistent drumbeat with Thornton, the prioritization of drafting Jack Bech in round 2. Again, could this be a little more than just something? Now, to your point, he requested it. And so what? The Raiders said, we're not trading him. You're going to play. He's going to do his thing. But it's interesting to hear that. And if there is some malcontent about his role, how might that impact other pieces of an offense that, with Geno Smith, we think this is going to be a good offense, or a better offense. Let me say that, a better offense than what we've seen. So that's just my thought, though, Matt. But it's interesting to hear that, and there will be a reaction to the players in the market, because that's what we do in fantasy football.
Interesting, because I hadn't even really considered it to be like something that you might be potentially unhappy with his role. But I mean, because just looking at like all the reports have been about the contract, and just looking at his APY, $11 million per year. He's set to make like 10.5 base this year. The guys that he's sandwiched between is like Darius Slayton and Josh Palmer, right? Like the De'Ami Brown, Tutu Atwell, like the Palmer, De'Ami Brown, Tutu Atwell contract that just like, that's what we're signing like reserve receivers to. He's in that zone. Jakobi Meyers is not that type of player. He's not in that range.
Yeah.
I think he's closer to like Jerry Jeudy, 17.5 million, Christian Kirk, 18 million. Get a couple drinks in me, I'll tell you he should be up there with like Cortland Sutton at 23 million. I think he's a really, really good player. So he's got to be somewhere in between all this. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think he's in a tough spot though because they have no incentive to extend him. They certainly have no incentive to trade him because they did take Jack Besh, and Thornton has played in the offseason, in the preseason as the starter because he's the X receiver. Jack Besh is not an X receiver. He doesn't have the speed to threaten vertically down the field. And to me, I think Besh was drafted to be Myers' replacement in 2026. Maybe you could tell me you see it differently, but also worth noting with Jack Besh that I think he is a guy, as much as I liked him as a prospect, he took 72% of his snaps at the right outside receiver position. Ray, in my history of charting prospects for reception perception, these guys that line up on one side of the field on over 70% of their snaps, they're developmental guys. They need time. They need time to like grow and develop. And usually they become the guys that hit right away are the guys who play in the slot. And unfortunately, it's just like Besh is blocked there by Myers, but I think he might not be next year. So it's a little bit of a tough spot here for both, I think, the player and the team.
The more I think about this, because I think you're right. I do think that Besh's ability to do some of that Myers stuff down the line is very much within his skill set. And I had no clue about the developmental, but it makes sense. Like the slot is a tough role. You don't just get plopped in there and know all the routes from that alignment. It's a different area. I think my immediate takeaway is this, Harmon, just watching the limited opportunity that we've got to see the Raiders play this preseason is like, I'm wheels up Brock Bowers. If it is something about Myers' role, let's just say he wants a bigger part of it. You know what I don't think is happening? I don't think it's all going to Deontay Thornton. I don't think he's upset because Deontay Thornton is getting downfield targets. I don't think there's any discontent because Jack Besh is it's this offense is flowing through number 89. And we've seen NFL teams do that. The Kansas City Chiefs, their offense ran through Kelsey multiple years. You've got one of the best weapons in the NFL in Brock Bowers. Would you not be crazy not to run your offense through that and the running back that you just picked 6th overall? Like this Myers role in the 2025 Raiders offense, I'm just standing on the side thinking that it might look a little bit different. Again, to your original point, requesting a trade really don't mean squat, man. But it is interesting to dive into some of the reasons why he might have gotten there.
It's a good point here, Ray. And we didn't get any Brock Bowers like panic meter submissions, which I was a little bit surprised about because people have been talking in the fantasy streets about the, him and Michael Mayer rotating in the preseason. But I'll tell you, if anybody had submitted a panic meter thought about Brock Bowers, I'm with you. The panic would be at literally zero about Brock Bowers because like one thing that is not being discussed, to me, it's just funny about the preseason, Ray. Like we've gone from completely ignoring it to, I think, over analyzing it, honestly, in the fantasy football space. And I'm not calling anybody out. People do great work analyzing the preseason, but like some of these, Coach Speak Index was making the point today that like specifically talking about Sean Payton and how he ran out Tim Patrick as the starting second receiver last preseason, and then they cut the guy. Not every coach approaches it the same way. And that signals to me about this Raiders team. They have run out 11 personnel on every single snap in the preseason. I will be stunned. My pants will fall off. I'll be so blown away. Okay, that if they don't play more 12 personnel, they were number 1 in 12 personnel usage last year. They're not just going to rotate Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer so they can get Thornton and Trey Tucker on the damn football field. Okay, that's not going to happen. So I think that you're right to say that we don't even know what this role is going to look like, especially because we've not seen anything. We've just seen like a vanilla preseason offense that Pete Carroll, the head coach himself, even called it a vanilla offense in the preseason. So I'm with you. This is all about like Bowers, and there's something going on there. I think you're right to pull at that thread.
Yeah, just a little bit, right? Just following what the team is doing, and I don't think either of us are stretching when we're saying like your offense probably should flow through Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty, a strong running game and one of the most dynamic playmakers in the NFL. So, Myers is still a good player. I mean, he's a very good player. And if he's on the
Yeah.
Raiders, like all this is just hypothetical talk, right? Like he's out there. I bet that he gets more targets than Deontay Thornton or Jack Besh, anybody outside of Brock Bowers. So we'll see how this plays out. I'll say this, Matt. I don't think any of us really want that. A trade at this point, like at this point of the season, it just wouldn't do us any good in fantasy. It'd almost be like you wasted a pick.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And this is, again, why I just don't think it's going to happen. But you're so right to point that out, that it's just the timing of this is a bit bizarre here, again, on August 25th. Last piece of news we're going to talk about today, Joe Mixon was not activated. He's going to go on the reserve NFI list. That means he is out at least 4 games. Ray, I think, I don't know how you feel about this, but he is just not draftable to me. He is not a guy I've clicked once. He's not a guy I've thought about clicking once. To me, it's just like, I know that your people are going to be drafting this weekend and they're going to see his name at that top of that queue, man. It's like, well, he's going in the same range as this dude. I know Joe Mixon. He was like an RB1 on a per game basis last year. They're going to want to click him. But Ray, should the people even think about clicking this guy right now?
Yeah, you can't do it. You can't do it. If you lose your fantasy league because Joe Mixon somehow comes back and is just an absolute monster at the end of the year, come blame me. Right? But this is a guy that I can't be confident in this. Like they had said the whole offseason, Matt, he's not doing anything. We're not worried, but he's still not doing anything. Sometimes it's the lack of what you see. I don't even care about the coach speak sometimes. What have we not seen? That's Joe Mixon on a football field. The ankle, foot, this position, I don't even know if the answer to that question is no. Matt, I'm going to kick it back to you. Like, is there anybody in this backfield that you really feel confident drafting now? I know we've written and talked about Woody Marks multiple times over the past couple of weeks, and I'm excited about him, but pressing draft on a Houston Texans running back for 2025 just feels scary.
Yeah, it really is. D'Amico Ryans said today that they have, quote, a very deep running back room, lots of players that can provide a ton of depth and guys who can get us through the season, which I know you just mentioned the coach speak. When I see get through the season, that does not make me think like it'll be 4 games and Joe Mixon going to be right back, okay? That means at least 4 games. So, to me, I think the other guys in this room, I think obviously Nick Chubb will get the first crack at it. I think he's the guy that should be the odds-on favorite to lead the team in carries in week 1. I like a lot of your analysis about Woody Marks and, the pass-catching upside to him, but I think Dameon Pierce is a guy that, deep leaguers should consider drafting and maybe will be in these like week 1 waiver wire articles. And the reason that I come back to that is because I don't think what Pierce showed as a rookie was like a complete aberration, was just a complete fluke. I think the guy can play a little bit. And he was really good in that like gap scheme, right? He was really good in like a more gap heavy run scheme. And this is a team that probably is transitioning that way with the new coaching staff. So I think he is a guy to also consider in this mix. I don't think I have a strong conviction on this right now, but I think drafters should be open to all 3 of these guys late in rounds right now.
I think that's probably the best advice that you can give out. Like, I really do, because any strong conviction on one player or not, you're just throwing some bias in there, because I can give you 10 reasons why you shouldn't draft Woody Marks, Dameon Pierce, or Nick Chubb. Hell, Matt, if you want to get even wilder, Dare Ogunbowale is still there. So it's just, when you hear D'Amico Ryans say what you just said he said, what we can read, like this feels like whomever is getting us through the week. Right? Whichever guy's available and can tote the rock and is executing their assignments, that's who will play. And that doesn't instill a lot of confidence. But if we think CJ Stroud is going to take a step forward in year 3, if we have, the high expectations that Nico is going to be that dominant outside receiver, attention to him, I think you could do worse than a few stabs at the back end of your draft for one of these guys and what we think should be a decent offense. But it is scary.
It is scary. And I mean, hey, CJ Stroud, like, get ready to get that football out fast. And there's a lot of talk about hey, CJ Stroud's going to have more ownership at the line to adjust protections, call out blitzes and stuff like that in this new offense, which one I'm excited about because I think he can handle it. Two, he better be good at it, baby, because he's going to, I think, have to throw the football a lot this year with the state of this run game. But just last thing on this before we toss to break, I just want to say it one more time for the people out there. I'm looking right into the camera here. If you're drafting over the next few days, if you're drafting this weekend, have a little damn discipline when you see that Joe Mixon name, because these rankings across the platforms are not going to get adjusted. Have some discipline. I know you know the name. Don't click Joe Mixon. Don't draft him, okay? Just don't. You don't want this headache. There has been not one bit of good vibe on this situation. And then, so, again, you're watching the show. Have some damn discipline. Don't draft Joe Mixon. You're catching the falling knife. You're not finding some secret value, period. End of story.
I know it's the end of the story, but I really do want to double down on what Matt said. I think we take for granted how much we hear about this stuff, but a lot of people, they're not paying attention in damn June and July of the summer, right? They're enjoying summer. We're the ones following this.
Yeah, correct.
Do not draft him. Like, he's in the queue, but don't pick him. Your league mates haven't left you a gift. It's not a surprise under the Christmas tree that, the one that was at the back of the couch that mom and dad tried to hide and it's there. It's not that. This is a lump of coal, folks. Don't do it. Matt just said it. I'm telling you, avoid that Mixon ADP.